Today we're going to be comparing different areas around the triangle using only 3 words or less. Stick around.
All right, we're gonna do the top 5 cities in the triangle by population. These are in no particular order, though they probably should be because we're doing them by population. So the first one we're gonna do is Durham. The 3 words we have are foodie, edgy, and artsy.
Yeah.
So I think Durham fits that mold pretty well. It is kind of known as like the foodie city of the triangle. It's got an artsy vibe to it, a local vibe to it. I don't really consider, especially downtown Durham, to be like heavily commercialized or anything like that. It's got a very local feel to it. So yeah, I think those 3 words fit Durham pretty well.
Yeah. So like Zach mentioned, very foodie, so many cool restaurants, and what we kind of mean by like edgy would be more of like Durham's downtown. Like I feel like everything's been like renovated. It's like warehousey almost, like all these old tobacco warehouses, you know. And then
just find a word and put a Y.
Yeah, it works. That's the English language, didn't you know? Anyway, I feel like it like feels a little rough around the edges, but not in a bad way per se. But there's just been like a lot of like renovation and restoration in downtown, and it's just really cool to see that. You know, you have the Durham Performing Arts Center down there, which brings Broadway shows here to the Triangle, an amazing venue. You know, you have the Durham Bulls, just a lot of cool things to do around Durham that makes it really cool.
Yeah, and by the way, if you have other words to describe the cities, put those in the chat below. I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts. So the next one we're doing is
Raleigh.
Yeah. Which is the most populous city in the Triangle.
So our 3 words for Raleigh would be traditional, bustling, and Zach doesn't like my word bustling. Traditional, bustling, and polished. So kind of what we mean by that, like Raleigh is going to be like your big anchor city here in the Triangle. So it's just larger. I feel like, you know, it has your like traditional kind of big downtown, a good mixture of local and commercialized stuff. You know, there's a little bit of everything in Raleigh, which makes it feel traditional in a sense.
Yeah. Bustling just reminds me of the book Busy Town with Lowly
Richard
Worm,
Scary,
Lowly Worm and Hucklecat, which our kids read on like a daily basis. And so that's the only thing I think of when I think of Raleigh as a bustling city. But it is, I mean, it's the most populous city. Naturally it's the most crowded feeling city. There's a lot to do in Raleigh.
Definitely.
A lot of different activities, a lot of different things to see. So, I mean, it does fit it well.
Yeah. And then by polished, we kind of just mean, you know, it's established. Like things have been here a while, and it's clean.
Yeah, if you go like downtown Raleigh, Fayetteville Street, like it looks a lot different than downtown Durham. Like downtown Durham's like old brick warehouse buildings. Fayetteville Street in Raleigh is just like glass skyscrapers and it's just a different feel.
It has some of that too.
Like, it does.
It's got a little mixture, but it does have a more polished feel.
Yeah. All right, number 3 on the list is Chapel Hill. The 3 words we use to describe it would be academic, sophisticated, and eclectic.
Yeah.
So I think those fit well. I mean, Chapel Hill is a college town. It feels like a college town.
Not in the sense of like a party town. It feels like, you know, it feels like a professor town.
Yeah. And so the population in Chapel Hill is actually significantly smaller than even a Cary. Cary's 180,000 roughly. Chapel Hill is about 70,000. So I mean, it's a very small area. But yeah, I mean, very academic. Sophisticated, just find a lot of high-end restaurants in Chapel Hill, high-end neighborhoods in Chapel Hill. It's just got a very sophisticated vibe.
Yeah, for sure. And by eclectic, like everywhere you kind of drive in the Triangle, I feel like the home styles can feel pretty similar for the most part. But when you get into Chapel Hill, there's like a lot of like mid-century modern type things. There's like really different architecture with a lot of the homes there, so it does feel artsier, kind of more eclectic as far as like the architecture of the home style, which is really cool. It's just really interesting. All right, next on our list is going to be Cary. We're also going to kind of throw Apex into it, just because they're next to each other and they have kind of a similar overall vibe for the most part. So our 3 words to describe that area would be clean, expensive,
Yep.
and active.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, Cary is one of the most expensive areas in the Triangle. It's one of the most competitive areas to get into in the Triangle. We use active because there's the Greenway trail systems in Cary and Apex. I mean, they interconnect into the neighborhoods really well, and you just find a lot of people who obviously use those Greenway trails, who walk on them, run on them, ride bikes on them. And so it's a very active community. And then I mean, Cary was named the safest place in the country this year.
Right.
Last year.
Technically.
But so obviously clean. Like, it's just Cary and Apex they're just very safe areas. Yeah,
they're just very family friendly spots. But like I said, competitive and expensive as well. But there's a reason for that. So it's a great place to live.
All right, next up on the list is Wake Forest. So the words we used, and there's a little disagreement on this, but the words we came to were old and new. And I think Wake Forest does a really good job at blending, I guess, multiple eras of development. So if you go downtown Wake Forest, there's a hot dog restaurant that's been there since like the early 1900s. There's houses in downtown Wake Forest that have been there since the 1800s. But then Wake Forest is surrounded by constant construction, new developments coming in, new commercial spaces coming in. And so it's got this kind of like old and new vibe to it that I think isn't necessarily in some of the other areas. Like, I don't know, Wake Forest, it's just, you have this historical side to it, but you also have this new side to it that's continually expanding.
Yeah, for sure. There's so much commercial space there that's really been developed, I feel like, in like the last 10 to 20 years for the most part. But every time we drive down there, it's like, oh, that's another new grocery store, another new neighborhood coming. So there's like just a lot happening in Wake Forest. It's definitely a booming area, but it's beautiful. It's a great spot to raise a family. It feels like its own contained little area. It can feel a little removed from the Triangle sometimes, but you have everything you need right there thanks to all that commercialization, I feel like. But yeah, it's a great place to be. Joyner Park's an amazing park to take your kids to, or just go and enjoy yourself with the walking trails and everything that's there. So we love visiting Wake Forest.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, if you like this video, we have other videos like this that you can check out, other videos on the area and different parts of the area, the pros and cons and all of that. So feel free to check those out. I'm Zach. This is my beautiful wife, Cindy. We are a couple real estate agents in the area. So if you are looking to buy or sell, we would love to be your real estate resource of choice. So feel free to reach out to us. You can find our contact info below. And you can also find us on Instagram.
Yeah, you can follow along with our local adventures here, following along at the Honeycut Realtors. We'd love to see you there.
Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we will see y'all next time. And the 3 words we have for Durham are edgy, foodie. What was it? I don't know what the third one is. What's the third one? You don't know what the third one is.
I forget just thinking of it. Artsy.
We're gonna start it over. That's embarrassing. We don't even know our 3 words. It's 3 words. Can't even remember them.
You had one job.
All right.